Hey guys, Wyatt Claypool here. There's this very funny phenomenon I've been experiencing online. Whenever I'm interacting with a lefty journalist or commentator who's usually trying to be very smug and condescending to me because I don't hold their lefty academia opinions, I eventually find out they are literally paid by the federal government. They could not keep the lights on if it wasn't for Justin Trudeau and the Canadian Heritage Ministry giving them money. Who is it more pathetic for? I don't know. Is it more pathetic for the people taking the money because they couldn't actually operate a publication without the government's help? Or is it more pathetic for Trudeau and the Liberals who seem to be now targeting money towards liberal propaganda outlets who are just putting out gutter trash levels of propaganda, just saying pure Polyev bad, Justin Trudeau good, and the federal government's paying for this? It's insane. I want to go through a few of these examples with you here today because I think it just really highlights just how much of a hole the liberals are in currently. But before I get to that, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe to the channel if you are not yet subscribed. Around three-quarters of people watching any given video I make are not actually subscribers, even if you may have watched several videos I have created. So yeah, go do that, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and if you want to help us out, you can donate to our legal fund in the description below. It's the Give Send Go link, which will also be pinned at the top of the comments. Now, I know a lot of these people will say, you know that Post Media gets the most raw dollars from the federal government out of any Canadian publication. To which I say, yes, that's also bad. I like the National Post in general, but I don't think that they deserve taxpayer money either. I think that we should be getting rid of all these media subsidies and defunding the CBC at the same time that we reduce taxes. Nobody will have an excuse not to make a go of a publication if they actually have viewership. Anyways, but here is a truly pathetic example. It's Cult MTL, or also known as Culture Montreal, because as you can see from their top line here, it's a Montreal culture magazine. They put out a monthly print edition, which I'm not sure how widely it's distributed. Maybe they just do it so that they can be considered print media still. But look up here, arts and life, news, film and TV, music, food and drink, events. It is predominantly a culture nightlife type publication. They promote documentaries, they talk about random artists from Montreal, but now for some reason they also bash Pierre Polyev all of the time. When I say all of the time, I mean like at least once or twice a week there will be the same article, borderline the same article, saying that Pierre Polyev is deeply unpopular. And it's just, again, just gutter level propaganda. And almost all the articles are written by this guy, Matthew Renfrew, here. This article is titled, Pierre Poilievre's poor favorability will cost the Conservatives come election time. Oh, will it? Will it now? Down here, I'll just read a little bit of it just so I can dig into the absurdity of it. It says, a study by the Angus Reid Institute has found that net favorability of Pierre Polyev has reached its lowest point since December 2022 at negative 20%. Just 36% of Canadians have a positive opinion of the Conservative Party of Canada leader. Next line, a study by Ledger also found that while the Conservatives are leading in the polls, yet leading by a lot, less than 1 in 3 Canadians believe Pierre Polyev is the best choice for Prime Minister. Oh my goodness. It's hard for me to describe to you how pathetic this is. Justin Trudeau, even in the Angus Reid poll, in the Ledger poll, is way below Pierre Polyev for popularity. In the Angus Reid poll, he's only at like 26% popularity, maybe 28% if I read it wrong. Ledger has Pierre Polyev by far the most is the most preferred person for prime minister. Justin Trudeau is like 18%, 17% in terms of people who think that he'd make the best prime minister. But this outlet, without even like a cent of irony, keeps putting this stuff out, pretending like Pierre Polyev is getting absolutely pummeled in the polls. He's not. He's actually doing very well, especially considering all of the lefty media propaganda, both from the legacy media as well as from pathetic micro publications like Cult MTL. But now I want to get into a little bit of the funding as well as the caliber of other journalism that this publication puts out, and especially why it's needed to dive headfirst into liberal propaganda in order to stay funded. And again, I don't know why the liberals are doing this. Like, I know why, but who is going to see this Cult MTL article and then decide that they're no longer voting for the conservatives and they're going to vote liberal again? Especially in Montreal, where the choices don't even include the conservatives. The conservatives come like fourth place in Montreal. They do not compete for any Montreal ridings. But here is something that Andy Lee pointed out, which I'm going to add on after, that is a really funny little thing to note about them. He said this back on October 23rd. Andy Lee says, fun fact, Cult MTL is a QCNA member which partnered with the Government of Canada to distribute grants through the Local Journalism Initiative. Cult MTL recipients can earn up to $60,000 per LJI journalist per year to combat news poverty. Enjoy your handouts while they last. And yeah, that's not it. So we have here I believe it's the Quebec, I think it's like community of journalists or whatever. I'm going to go find it here. I do have a screenshot of how much they get per year, and it's not an unsubstantial amount of money. That's the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. Here we have the QCNA, the Quebec Community Newspaper Association, got $900,000 on April 1st of 2021 in a local journalism initiative grant. But they've also gotten more money every single year after that, and they've gotten money even before this. This is a massive sum of money, and I don't doubt that Cult MTL ends up getting some of that funding. They are a partner of them, so I don't see why they wouldn't. But Andy Lee actually seemed to have missed this. Cult MTL has been getting money directly from the government, not just from this Quebec Community Newspaper Association or whatever. And this is not barring that they might also be getting provincial Quebec government money or Montreal money as well. So Cult MTL in 2020 was a recipient of $46,719. And they will justify, well, this is COVID spending. Well, they just need the money to keep them alive during COVID. Why? You're a publication online mostly, and you ship out magazines. How is that affecting your ability to function? Cult MTL in 2021 given another $12,800. Cult MTL 2022 $13,945. Cult MTL 2023 was given $13,247. I don't even know how these amounts work. Why do you get $13,945 in 22, but only $13,247 in 2023? Oh, and I haven't found their 2024 filing yet, but I don't doubt that we will eventually see it. This trash that's saying Poilievre's deeply unpopular, he's falling down right now, Canadians don't like him. At the same time, Trudeau has far less popularity than even him. This is funded by our federal government. Now I just want to show you some of the publications by this place. And you can really tell why they've dove headfirst into this liberal propaganda, because nobody cares about their publication past it. Look at this. LGBTQ plus film festival, Image Plus Nation to open with Lucia Guadagnino's Queer starring Daniel Craig. And 6 likes, 6 retweets, November 16th. It's been out for a few days. We have this publication. Our November issue features Petite Bellevue, who released a brilliant self-titled third album this year and is about to play MTELUS for the first time. We spoke with him about how he runs his career like a small business and why he is low-key loves it. He runs his career like a small business because he's not popular. I'm not trying to take shots at this guy. I have more viewership on any given episode of my show compared to this guy's music. He's not popular. But Cult MTL, they are just like covering random artists that they probably happen to like, and which in November 7th, 11 likes, 5 retweets. This was released on November 7th, and I'm talking about this on November 18th. Nobody cares. Here's another one. Montreal has spoken. Best of MTL. Best wine bars in Montreal. Wow. Who could tell why nobody reads this publication? Let's go up to another one. This is the one where they actually wrote about Pierre Poilievre. See, the net favorability of Pierre Poilievre has reached its lowest point since December 22, and that has 2.7 thousand likes, 871 retweets. And a lot of it tends to be negative when you look at a lot of the quote tweets of people just mocking the notion that Polyev is unpopular compared to Justin Trudeau. This is pathetic. They're only doing this for the government money. It's nakedly transparent. And this isn't the only lefty publication that's been getting money. I'm going to use some more famous examples, as I accidentally brought up on screen before. Canada's Anti-Hate Network, 2020, was given $268,400. That is disgusting how much money these people are given. 2024, 200,000. I'm just kind of going through them in no particular order. 2023, given $440,000. What do? They just smear conservatives. That's what the Canadian Anti-Hate Network exists for. Yeah, they'll cover the occasional neo-Nazi that pops up here or there, as if anyone supported them and it needed deep coverage to show what they were up to. Nobody cares about these people. It's a gutter trash publication that all it does is sort of goes after actual hateful people here and there, like obvious neo-Nazis or racists or whatever, who nobody supported. And then they will also release articles about a conservative was once within 10,000 yards of this guy that we've covered before as being hateful. This is what the Canadian Anti-Hate Network exists to do. They exist to try and connect normal conservative figures to hateful individuals through very thin threads. So they're the type of place that will cover that Jeremy Mackenzie shook hands with Pierre Poilievre, and they'll pretend that they have a serious connection. Jeremy Mackenzie made a joke about assaulting Poilievre's wife, and Poilievre thinks he's a trash individual who didn't know who he was at the time. But that's what the Canadian Anti-Hate Network exists to do. Here's another one. So the Canadian government just funds publications that supposedly are very popular and written by have prestigious writers like Maxwell Fawcett, like National Observer, who are just openly anti and the energy industry. The National Observer Media Group, got $50,000 in 2017. And what did they get in 2020? $253,000. 2021, $100,000. 2022, what did they get? Oh, $99,000, 854. What did we get in 23? Oh, they got $43,000. 24, they got $44,000. And as the amounts go down, you'd be like, well, that's not that much money. That's not more than a single person's salary, if that. I get $0. In fact, I get, like my legal fund implies, I get lawsuits from corrupt individuals in Canadian politics that I mostly get to pay for alone. The smugness from these people is always the most bothersome thing. They act like they're the media elites. Even if they don't work directly in the legacy media, they technically work in alternative media, but they're funded by the Canadian government. But they're better than you. They have more nuanced takes. They don't engage in low grade propaganda like conservative commentators do online. While they're paid to write newspapers, while they're paid to write online publications that, let me be clear, nobody reads. Nobody reads these things. That's always the funny thing whenever somebody like embraces that they are a CBC journalist. Oh, I work for the CTV News. Oh, I work for Global. Nobody reads you. Nobody watches your shows. It's actually hilarious. Did you ever see? I don't have this screenshot anymore, but somebody, I think it was actually Lindsay Shepherd from True North, she showed that the CBC had like 50 plus, 60 plus podcasts on Apple Podcasts. Nobody listens to these things. Nobody does. They don't have any ratings. Nobody's listened to them before. And the people running these things are being paid six figures to run a show, some random true crime show about like some gay neighborhood in Toronto. Nobody's listening to it, and they're being paid six figures to make it. Let's. I just want to find some other stuff here, and this is like the stuff that always blows me away whenever people will start to like defend the honor of the CBC and they'll act very like crusadery about it. Here's Max Foss saying, "Red alert, folks! If you care about the CBC, it's time to face up to this." And it was going after, and it was in response to Pierre Poilievre going after the CBC and knowing that the CBC is getting close to being cut. Yes, they should. Max should also lose his government subsidized salary, not in terms of like I want him fired, but all these people who are acting like defending the honor of the CBC are also subsidized, even if they don't work for them. Here we go from Andrew Coyne. Andrew Coyne has absolutely shredded his credibility over the past few months here when it comes to just his utter inability to handle the fact that Donald Trump has been reelected as the president of the United States. He's responding to this um, post from Sean Spear saying, "Losing the CBC will not be a tragedy. If Pierre Poilievre and Conservatives are elected, they've been abundantly clear that a top priority will be to defund the CBC, and I believe that it comes with that's connected to an article since Sean Spear helps run the hub." And Andrew Coyne's actual response to this was, "This is all very true, as I've argued many times, but Poilievre isn't proposing to defund the CBC because of some principled public good analysis. He's doing it out of revenge and spite, to punish it for being mean to the Tories. That's no way to make public policy on anything, and it's pure politics. If it were really based on the condition that once made the case for the public broadcasting no longer apply, he'd be shutting down French CBC as well. Hey, don't tempt us. He's never said that he won't defund French CBC, and that's just dripping with the smug superiority of the legacy media and those journalists who work for them. Andrew Coyne's supposedly a conservative. He also is a guest on CBC's Power in Politics, or I see Power Play. I don't know which one is it, but he's someone who's paid by the CBC, and I believe that there is good reason to get rid of the CBC, but Poilievre's reasons are very bad and like vengeful. Vengeful. My response to this at the time was, how revenge and spite really just means that Poilievre has been unfairly personally attacked by the CBC, giving him extra personal experience and motive to defund them. The CBC's done it to tons of people. If anything, it's good that they've attacked Poilievre in such an unfair way to prove the point that that the CBC does not treat all Canadians fairly. It's ridiculous. These people need to be defunded. Cult MTL needs to be defunded. The Canadian AntiHate Network needs to be defunded, then sued into the floor. Like, all these publications that are getting money are not adding value to the Canadian general public. It is fueling narratives that benefit the left. The National Observer is an obvious anti-oil and gas publication. All these other guys, like, that run all these other energy publications, which are just green energy publications that hate oil and gas, nobody reads them. Again, as I keep saying, who's reading energy news every single day on why oil and gas is bad? Not really that many people. There's not that many rabid environmentalists to support these publications. They require government money. And isn't that pathetic when most of conservative media doesn't need that much money? Oh, and people say, well, Post Media gets a lot. Yeah, Post Media does technically get the largest raw amount of money. But as a percentage of their budget, it's far smaller than these publications, who most of their money is from the taxpayer. The CBC, whenever they say, well, taxpayer money is only 60 to 70% of our income. Well, yeah, because how couldn't you make some money on ad revenue? You have $1.4 billion to play with. It'd be impossible not to bring in a few hundred million in terms of ad revenue on all your shows and publications and podcasts no one's listening to. But I guess that's where this rant will end today. This is just pathetic that Justin Trudeau is funding this stuff. It's just trying to claw back any amount of popularity that they can before the next election, because the Liberals' own personal fundraising numbers are horrible right now. They have no way of extracting any more blood from this stone. They are getting less than half in a good month, in a good quarter, of what the Conservatives have been bringing in terms of fundraising dollars. And so this appears to be their new backdoor, just funding lefty propaganda outlets under the guise that they are good for our culture. They are supporting Canadian culture. And then they get to have a bunch of anti-Poilievre titles, headlines thrown out there all day long. Anyways, that's it for me today, guys. Remember to subscribe, like this video, and if you can, donate to the Give Send Go in the description of the video below and pinned at the top of the comments. Really helps me out. We're being sued by a billionaire Chinese developer for I think it's like $900,000 he wants from me, and I've paid like $33,000 so far into defending us from this frivolous lawsuit. So anything you can contribute really helps me out. But other than that, have a good day, everyone.